Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavado Paschatya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaura Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama. I just came back to Ujjain yesterday while I was driving from the airport to Ujjain. I got the message or a request about this program here today. The consideration was whether you should have the program yesterday or today, 19th or 20th. So I opted for the program today. And I feel very happy and enlivened to have this opportunity as these two young ladies were making the presentation, that spiritual topic is practically forgotten. And there's a lot of effort for knowledge, wisdom, and information, but all those endeavors are in the material domain. There's very little effort, or practically and a very insignificant effort is there to delve into the spiritual topics. And to see that there has been some interest generated here naturally enlightens us very, very much. So the topic that we selected is the existence of another reality. An existence of another reality beyond this material nature. So the problem is that that reality is beyond our sense perception. We cannot see that reality with our eyes. We cannot touch that reality with our hands, and so forth. That reality is totally beyond our sense perception. Then the consideration is, then how do we become aware of that reality? Yes, our senses cannot approach that reality, or our senses cannot perceive that reality, but with our intelligence we can comprehend that reality. With our intelligence we can realize that yes, that reality does exist. So I'll take my approach first through that basic common sense or intelligent consideration, and then I will delve into a branch of Vedic philosophy called Sankhya to understand that in a more profound way. So I'll just make this two basic approach to understand that topic. If we consider, like, matter is inert, right? Matter by nature is inert. Don't we say inert matter or dead matter? Like, for example, this chair is inert. This table is inert. these walls are inert. But you and I, are we inert or conscious? Are we inert or conscious? We are conscious. Although our bodies are made of matter, inert matter, these bodies are made of inert matter. But these bodies are conscious, these bodies are alive. Now what causes this body to be alive? Very good. Presence of the soul. Presence of the soul. As long as the soul is in the body is alive. The moment the soul leaves the body made of dead matter becomes dead. Like we said, dead, somebody died, but actually to begin with, the body is made of dead matter. So the factor is, the consideration is, what made this dead body to be alive? The presence of the soul. I'm confident that all of you will agree with me. Let's see a show of hands. How many of you believe that it's due to the presence of the soul that the bodies are alive? Yeah, it's a very common factor. Like we say, when somebody dies, don't we say he left? Although the body is lying there, we say he is gone. Then who is that he? Whose absence makes the body become dead? So in simple consideration, when a soul accepts a new body, we call it birth. And when the soul leaves the old body, we call it death. Death of the body. And as long as the soul is in the body, we say that the body is alive. Now the consideration is, where does the soul come from? That is the main consideration. Is the soul a product of some chemical combinations? Is the soul a product of matter? No. So this is what I will probe into through a branch of philosophy, Vedic philosophy called Sankhya. Sankhya literally means analytical study. And through this branch of philosophy, through analyzing, they are coming to one after another consideration. So the first consideration is, I'm sorry, I got some viral infection, so my nose is running. And so the first consideration is, this nature, this world is composed of 5 elements. In Sanskrit, it's Ap, Tej, Kshiti, Morit, Om. Like earth, water, fire, air, ether. Earth means solid substance. Water, liquid substance. Fire, then air, and then ether. These are the 5 elements with which this world has been composed of. There are 5 elements, and we have 5 senses. Our bodies have 5 senses. And the interaction between the 5 senses and the 5 elements gives rise to 5 objects of the senses. For example, ear interacts with ether and sound is produced. Skin interacts with air, touch is produced. Eyes interact with fire, form is produced. Tongue interacts with water, taste is produced. And nose interacts with earth and smell is produced. So this is how, due to the interaction between the five senses and the five elements, five objects of the senses are generated, like sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. And then they consider that there are five working senses with which we become active. Those five working senses are speech, hands, belly, anus, and genitals. They are called five working senses or panchakarmentariyas. So this way, five elements, five senses, five objects of the senses, and five working senses. 20. 4 5s are 20. And then they consider that there are three subtle elements. Those three subtle elements are mind, intelligence, and false ego. Man, buddhi, and ahankara. 23. Mind you, mind is also matter, subtle matter. Intelligence is matter, subtle matter. And ahankar, which is translated in English as false ego, is also matter, but subtle matter. Mind, intelligence, and false ego. So 20 plus 3 is 23. Then they consider that the basic ingredient for the entire creation, which is called Mahatattva. So this is how, with 24 considerations, they analyze the entire material. The entire material nature has been analyzed with these 24 considerations. But then they consider that all these 24 considerations are objective in nature. But the objects cannot exist without the subject. In order for objects to exist, the subject must be there. Is that clear? Can the object exist without the subject? No. So who is the subject? I am the subject. I am, therefore this is. When I won't be here, this won't be here for me. So that applies to all of us. We all, because we all are here, this nature is becoming, this nature has become manifest. So, with this, or in spite of analyzing the entire material creation with this 24 consideration, they finally comes to the 25th consideration, that is I or Atma, the soul, the Atma. Now, the souls or Atmas are minute and many. Now, anything that is minute and many must have a source or origin. So the source of all the Atmas is the Supreme Atma or Param Atma or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. So this is how, through Sankhya, they're transcending the material nature. With this 24 consideration, they analyze the entire creation, but then they consider that there is a 25th consideration which is beyond material nature. And not only they transcended the material nature and came to the existence of the soul, with the 26th consideration, they analyze that the soul is a part of the Supreme Soul or God. Now, Sri Sankhya is an extensive subject, Sankhya branch of philosophy. as I just tried to analyze. Now you know something? In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna established that, explained that in 2 lines, in 2 shlokas. Just 4 lines. Each shloka is of 2 lines. Krishna is saying, Bhumi rapo analo vayu, kham mano buddhi devacha, ahankara iti angve, bhinna prakriti ushtata. This bhinna prakriti, this material nature, is composed of 8 elements. Those 8 elements are earth, water, fire, air, ether. That 5 Panchamahabhut, and then 3 subtle elements, man, buddhi, and ahankara. Bhumi, apo, analo, vayu, kham, mano, buddhir, evacha, ahankara ityam me, bhinna prakritir ashtadha. With these 8 elements, this material nature has been composed of. But then he is saying, aparayamitastamyam, prakriting viddhi me param. This nature is inferior, but beyond this inferior nature, there is a superior nature of mind. Prakriting viddhi me param. Jiva bhutan mahabaho, jajetam dharjate. The Jiva Bhutan or Atmas, Jivatmas, are coming from that superior nature and they are sustaining this material nature. So see how wonderfully Krishna in just 2 shlokas explained this whole thing, and giving us the consideration that beyond this material nature there is a superior nature, and the Atmas, Jivatmas or Jiva Bhutan are coming from that superior nature. Now we are running into another consideration. See, it has been established here that Bhagavan or Supreme Personality or Godhead is the source of all of us, and we are his parts and parcels. Now, the parts' existence, the utility of the parts' existence lies in its connection to the whole. Is this point clear? The utility of the part's existence is relative to its connection to the whole. Say, for example, this finger is a part of my body. As long as it is connected to the body, this finger is very important. But if this finger becomes separated from the body, will this finger have any value? We'll just throw it away. So similarly, since we are parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the utility of our existence lies in our connection with Him. And when we become separated from Him, our existence doesn't have its proper utility and purpose. So that is why the utility of our existence lies in our connection to the Lord. And that way to become connected to Him is called yoga. Yoga means connection plus, right? To be connected to something is yoga. The yoga actually is the process by which one can become connected to the Lord. Now, this connection, how can this connection be established? The proper way to be connected is a factor that is inherent with all of us. Like for example, material things can be connected by some material means. But the spiritual connections cannot be established by any mechanical means. The spiritual connections or living connection is established through love. We become connected with each other through love. Love unites us. Hatred separates us. Isn't it a very common understanding? It is through love we become connected. The living connection is established through love. Mother is connected to the child. What connects the mother to the child? Love. What connects a young man to a young girl? Love. Now, if we want to become connected to the Lord, the way to do that is through love. Love is there. With every living entity, love is there. The living entity or the soul is situated in the region of the heart. And because the soul is situated in the heart, the soul's functions are experienced through the heart. Don't you say, we love with our heart? No. I love with all my heart, because the love is in the heart. So love is there in everyone, and this love is actually meant to establish his relationship with God. And that is the ultimate purpose of our existence. And this love for the Lord is expressed through some service. When we love somebody, we just don't say, I love you, and so forth. When we love somebody, the love is actually expressed through some action. The mother loves the child, but how often does the mother say, I love you? But through her action, she expresses a love for the child. Similarly, when we want to develop our loving relationship with the Lord, then it has to be done through our action. And that action, loving action, is called loving devotional service. In simple Sanskrit or in Hindi, it's called bhakti. When we express our love for the Lord, that is called bhakti, and it is expressed through some action. Now I'll go to another consideration, like it's an example. Through an example, I'll try to establish this factor. You see, spark is fire, right? But it's tiny fire. Spark is a tiny fire. So as soon as the spark comes out of the fire, it loses its fiery qualities. So similarly, or I'll go to another stage, that when the spark comes out of the fire and loses its fiery qualities, and next to the fire is ash, and falling in a heap of ash, that spark, which was inflammable, becomes ash. So this is an analogy. Like similarly, we are parts and parcels of the Lord. We are spiritual beings by nature. But when we become separated from Him, we lose the spiritual qualities, and falling into the material nature, which is just next to the spiritual domain, we develop our identity being material. We start to identify ourselves with matter. Originally, we all are spiritual beings. But because we severed our relationship with the Lord, therefore we are identifying ourselves with matter which is non-spiritual. So, I hope this analogy is clear. Like, we are spiritual, but what is happening now? We're identifying ourselves with the body. This body is not an actual self. Body is just a covering. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is describing this body as a dress. Jirnani vasanshi jatha vihaya navani grinhati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jitna annani samjati navani. So just as when the dress becomes old, we take off that old dress and put on a new one. Similarly, when this body becomes old and uninhabitable, we leave this old body and put on a new one. Death is not the end. Death is the end of the body, but death is not the end of the soul. The soul continues from one body to another. Soul leaves one old body and takes up another new body. So the point here is that we are spiritual beings, but now we are identifying ourselves with matter. But now see, for the spark that has become ash now, if we want the spark to retain or regain its fiery qualities, what will have the spark to do? It has to somehow become connected to the fire. When the spark goes back to the fire, it will become fire again. So similarly, when we re-establish our relationship with Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we regain our spiritual qualities. The spiritual beings that we are, we become reinstated in that spiritual identity. Now, the consideration is, can the spark by itself go back to the fire? That inflammable, tiny little particle that has become ash now, can it go back to the fire? Although it needs to go back to the fire to regain its fiery quality. It needs someone's help, right? Only when someone takes him there, it regains its fiery quality. Similarly, we have become separated from Krishna and became transformed into matter, so to say. Now, if we want to go back to the fire, go back to the spiritual identity, and regain our spiritual qualities, then we need the help of somebody who will do that, will make that connection. And that connection is made with proper information by a qualified teacher, a spiritual teacher. We are familiar with the expression guru. Guru means actually a spiritual teacher. A person who teaches us about the spiritual reality and enables us to become connected to the Supreme Lord. So that was the basic message that we wanted to convey here. I will also want to make one point here that Krishna, who is Krishna? Is Krishna a Hindu god? Or is Krishna some historic personality who lived 5,000 years ago? No. In order to understand who he is, we have to understand the meaning of the word Bhagavan. I'm sure all of you are aware of, all of you are acquainted with this expression Bhagavan. Now, what is the meaning of this word Bhagavan? Bhagavan. Balavan, we are familiar with this expression. Balavan, one who has Bal, Dhanavan, Gunavan, Rupavan. So what's the meaning of the word Bhagavan? One who has Bhaga. One who has Bal is Balavan. One who has Gun is Gunavan, and so forth. Similarly, one who has Bhaga is Bhagavan. Is that clear? So, now, what does Bhaga mean? This has been expressed or explained in a Sanskrit word, Sanskrit definition. Aishwarjasya samagrasya virjasya yashasya sriya jnana vairagyaschaiva shannam iti bhagavana. Aishwarya means wealth. Samagrasya, all the wealth. All the wealth. Do we know anybody who can claim that he has all the wealth? No. Somebody may have some wealth, but all the wealth. Virja, power, strength. Some strong people may be there, but can anybody claim that he has all the strength, all the power? No. Yash, fame, all the fame. Shri, beauty, all the beauty. Gyan, knowledge, all the knowledge. And Vairagya, all renunciation. So one who has all these six in complete totality, he is Bhagavan. Is there anyone? Our scriptures are saying, yes. He is Ekam Eva Aditya Parama Purusha. He is the Parama Purusha, the Supreme Person, who is one without a second. Ekam Eva Aditya Parama Purusha. And he has various names according to his qualities and according to his activities or according to his pastimes. I'm sure in English also or in Latin also you are familiar with the expression God is identified as omnipotent, omnipotent, all-powerful. Now that is the name of God. Who is all-powerful? Only He is all-powerful. Omniscient, who knows everything. Who is omniscient? He is omniscient. Omnipresent, present everywhere. So these are the qualities of that Supreme Personality. And accordingly, He has His name. He doesn't have a name that we need our names to identify ourselves. No. He doesn't need any identification. But He is identified by His near and dear ones, those who are close to Him, according to His quality. Now, Krishna means all attractive. The word Krishna is Karshati iti Krishna. Because He is all attractive, He is Krishna. Because He is the giver of supreme pleasure, therefore He is Rama. Because He is the source of all living entities, therefore He is Narayan. Because He is the cause of entire creation, therefore He is Vishnu. So He has various, although He is one without a second, but He has various names due to His qualities and also His activities. He lifted Govardhan hill, therefore He is Giridhari. He appeared as the son of Nanda Maharaj. Therefore he is Nanda Dulal. So he has innumerable names according to his qualities. But he is the supreme personality. And we all are his parts and parcels. And he is the supreme creator, and he is the supreme maintainer. He is maintaining all of us by his divine arrangements. See how wonderful is his arrangements. People don't want to believe in God nowadays. But they never consider how wonderfully he is arranging everything for us. Just consider a seed falls on the ground. What happens? A tree comes out. In the tree there are fruits. In the fruits there are seeds. In those seeds there are trees. In those trees there are fruits. In those fruits there are seeds. So tell me, who made this arrangement? I mean, if we just probe into it little deeply, then we'll automatically recognize how he is actually, how he is there. It is all these arrangements are because of him. We are getting the food, like this is his arrangement. An endless arrangement for an endless supply of food for all of us. We need water to drink. Okay? The 4/5 of this planet is water. But that water is salt water. Useless. We can't drink that. But that water evaporates with the arrangement of sun rays, forms cloud, wind disperses them all over, then it comes down in the form of distilled water, raindrops, and fills up all the water bodies. We need oxygen to breathe. We are taking oxygen, giving out carbon dioxide. If the process continued, then there wouldn't have been any oxygen left. But did it ever happen? No. We are giving out carbon dioxide, but trees and plants are taking carbon dioxide and giving back oxygen to us. Tell me, is it an accidental phenomenon? Will any intelligent person consider that this is by chance this happened? Now tell me, who made this arrangement? Who else but him can make this arrangement? So this is how practically at every step we can feel his presence. At every step we can recognize that how he is making arrangements for all of us. So now I'll just go into another very small factor. The purpose of human life is to actually regain or re-establish or revive our relationship with him. Why? Because human beings have been endowed with an advanced intelligence. And not only that, the human beings can expand his intelligence to an unlimited extent, so much so that he can recognize him. Subhuman species cannot question whether God exists. Subhuman species cannot question, an animal cannot question who made all these wonderful arrangements. But we can. We human beings can. Now, this very special faculty has been given to us so that we can recognize him and develop our relationship with him. And that is the purpose of human life. Our scripture says, Labdha sudurlabhamidam bohu sambhavate. After many, many possibilities, we got this human form of life. Therefore, this opportunity must be properly accepted. We must take full advantage of this opportunity and let that be the goal of our lives. Thank you all very much. If anybody has any question, then feel free to ask. Does anybody have any question? Yes.
Swamiji, in such a materialistic world, how a common man can connect himself with the supreme powers or God, whatever we say? Because these days we are totally engaged with day-to-day activities and don't find any time to meditate or to bhakti, whatever you are saying.
Very good. Very good question. In spite of being extremely busy, can one still fall in love? So as I mentioned, it's a matter of developing a loving relationship with Him. We can be situated wherever we are, and we can, continue doing whatever we are doing. But still we can develop a loving relationship. And it doesn't really take, we don't really have to meditate on Him in that sense. We don't have to give up all our activities and, like for example, the scripture, our Vedic scriptures is saying, Sthane sthitva shruti gatam tanuban manodhi. Being situated wherever one is, one can become engaged in developing his loving relationship with the Lord and act accordingly. For example, consider where Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita. In the battle of Kurukshetra, in the battlefield, when the battle is about to begin, there Krishna is speaking Bhagavad Gita. To whom? To Arjuna. Right? Tell me who can be in more precarious condition than Arjuna at that time? Right? And Arjuna, what is Arjuna's response after Bhagavad Gita? Krishna advised him, Karishye vachanam. I will do whatever you ask. So, in the same way, whatever we are doing, we can recognize that we are doing it for Him. Just as a servant serves his master, we can just do whatever we are doing as an offering to a master. So that's how simple it is. And one thing I can tell you that, in order to say in simple words, in order to fall in love with Krishna, you don't have to leave home and leave everything. Like consider the gopis of Vrindavan. They're the greatest lover of Krishna. Did they leave anything? No. They were situated in the household, taking care of the household, but still they were. Another example, as I mentioned, Arjuna, a warrior, still is a devotee of Krishna. Yes?
Pranam Swami, what is the motive of our life? Can we be the God?
Can we?
Be the God? क्या हम भगवान बन सकते हैं?
नहीं. You see, Bhagavan is always Bhagavan. And we are what we are. Like Jivatma and Paramatma. Sun and the rays of the sun. That's the difference between us and him. If he is considered to be the sun, we are like the innumerable rays coming out of the sun. Qualitatively we are one. but quantitatively we are different. इंसान कभी भगवान नहीं बनता,
What
बल्कि
is our motive? हम meditation करते
to become from material to become spiritual.
Exactly.
That should be the motive. We are in a material state, but we have to become spiritual. But that doesn't mean that when you become spiritual, you become God. A prisoner, when he comes out of the prison, he is free. But that doesn't mean that now that he has come out of the prison, he has become the king. King is always the king. And a citizen is always the citizen.
Jai Guru. Why Chaitanya's philosophy fails? Why Chaitanya, Sri Chaitanya, that is the philosopher, and we say that he is the Guru. His philosophy fails to achieve the nirvana by a command.
What's that?
चैतन्य महाप्रभु का जो प्रेम योग है, जिसकी उनका जो फिलोसफी था कि with the help of प्रेम योग you can get the nirvana, that you can mix with the supreme power, that the param brahma, one atma is going to be mixed, mingled with the paramatma.
Okay. You see, nirvana means liberation.
Yeah.
Now, nirvana or liberation is not the end. That's not Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching is to develop your loving relationship with the Lord.
At the end, you have to be, you never go for the rebirth. You are going to be mingled with the Paramatma. Atma is going to mix with the Paramatma with the help of the...
And then what do you do?
You never rebirth.
No, fine. But then what do you do? You don't take birth here.
Yeah.
But there, what do you do?
So you are going to mingle with the Paramatma.
No, that is not Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching.
It
He
is
got
the
it wrong.
way that how to reach...
Anyway, you see, I'm just making a very simple point. That's not the teaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching is Aradha Bhagavan Brajesha Tanai Stadhama Vrindavana Ramma Tachi Vipashana Brajavadhu Vargena Jatana Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhur Matamitam Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam Prema Kumar Pramanam. This is the essence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching is the worshipable Lord is Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. His abode is Vrindavan. The way the gopis worshipped him, that's the highest form of worship. Srimad Bhagavatam is the proof too. And the goal of life is to develop a loving relationship with Krishna.
What is the way that the Atma is not returned back to the abode?
As I mentioned, love is the way, and that love is bhakti.
Because once everybody is taking bath and going to that and again rebirth, going to the same procedure, that it is going to be a cycle. And when he is not going to be rebirth?
Fine. Okay, let's take it this way. The prisoner, right? A prisoner, a criminal is in the prison, right? When he finishes his term of imprisonment, he comes out of the prison. He's free, right? He's free. But then what he does when he comes out? When he comes out of the prison, he has to do something, right? He has to have an occupation, he has to earn money, he has to maintain his family, and so forth, right? So coming out of the prison is not the ultimate goal. The coming out of the prison and be properly situated is the ultimate goal. The prisoner is in prison because he broke the law of the king. So when he comes out of the prison, when he appeals to the king that I made a mistake, please forgive me, and the king forgives him. Then the prisoner comes out and becomes engaged in the service of the king. And that is the purpose of his freedom or liberation from his imprisonment. Now, if this material nature is like a prison house, the goal of life is to get out of the prison and become engaged in the service of the King of Kings, the Supreme Personality of God.
In Gita, it is written that everybody is coming from the Supreme Soul, Paramatma. And the Jivatma is now going to, after the getting the freedom, that he is कर्म मुक्ति से जब होता है तो फिर वो जाकर ब्रह्म स्वरूप से मिलता है.
नहीं, भगवत गीता का वाणी है नहीं. Bhagavad Gita is the final instruction of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is saying, Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja.
Aham sarva papabhyo.
Right.
Moksha mein se
Yes.
That is the moksha. How will we achieve the moksha?
He is not saying moksha. He is saying sharanam vraja. Aham tan sarva papabhyo mokshayisham. I will deliver you from all your sinful reactions. Because of your sinful reactions, you are suffering. But I will deliver you. Sarva papabhyo mokshayisham. I will deliver you from all your sinful reactions. So that is what Krishna is saying. But the main point he is saying, Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate jomam samajuktatam. Among all the yogis, one who has become engaged in my loving devotional service, he is the greatest of all yogis. That means one who has become engaged in serving the Lord, that is the ultimate perfection of his existence. Thank you.
Thanks. Swami. Yes. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Somani.
What shall be the way to pray the God and to achieve whatever is the ultimate goal?
Wonderful. Very good. Very good. And you answered the question actually. Pray. How to pray. So the prayer means with all sincerity, we appeal to Him for whatever we want. When we are suffering, we pray to the Lord, please deliver me from the suffering condition. When we want something, we pray to Him, please give me that. So asking anything to the Lord is the prayer. And you can ask anything. Like if He is the Father and if we are His children, then cannot the child ask anything from his father? Right? And the father will decide whether it's right for him or not. And if the father says, no, it's not good for him, so father says, no, I'm going to give it to you. Right? So similarly, it's not that Lord will fulfill all our prayers, but whatever is suitable to us, whatever is beneficial for us, He will provide. Therefore, there is no harm in praying to Him. And by praying to Him, we develop our relationship with Him. You know how it happens? You pray, and you see that your prayer is answered. Right? And then you see, then you recognize that, well, He's there. He's there. Then you may say, well, it may happen accidentally. But time and time and time again, when it keeps on happening, then you can't help but consider that He must be there. Although I cannot see Him, He is seeing me. Although I cannot hear Him, He is hearing me. And thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Yes.
I feel always the confusion between two sentences. First sentence is कि दुनिया में कुछ भी होता है वो ईश्वर या भगवान की मर्जी से होता है. दूसरा सेंटेंस है कि आपको आपकी कर्मों की सजा मिलेगी. तो दोनों में से सही सेंटेंस क्या है? जो भी हो रहा है वो ईश्वर की इच्छा से हो रहा है या फिर हम कर रहे हैं वो पाप या फिर पुण्य है?
ओके, गुड पॉइंट। जो कुछ होता है यहाँ इस भौतिक जगत में वो भगवान की इच्छा से नहीं होता है, हमारे कर्म के अनुसार होता है। As you sow, so shall you live. For punya or for right action, you get enjoyment. For wrong action, you get punishment. Right? So we cannot blame him. He actually gave the opportunity. He gave us the freedom. Okay, you wanted to do things according to your own way, go ahead and do it. But there is a consideration of karma. As you sow, so shall you reap. So, and he is Upadrashta. Upadrashta. He is a witness. Sitting in our heart, he is witnessing how we are acting. And he is waiting when you turn our face towards him. Like, okay, I'll give you an example. And the child says, Daddy, Daddy, I want to go and play with my friends. The father says, okay, come. He takes him to the park. And the child, meeting his friends, completely forgot the father. He's completely absorbed in the game with his friends. In the game, sometimes he's winning, he's happy. Sometimes he's losing, he's sad. Right? He is not at all concerned about the father. But the father is sitting on a bench by the park. Right? And he's letting the child play. But then it becomes dark. All the friends are gone. Then the child calls out, Daddy, Daddy, where are you? Then the father comes, picks him up on his lap, says, come, let's go home. So our situation is like that. We wanted to play. And this is a playground, we are getting an opportunity to play. But there is a rule of the game. You play it right, you will enjoy. You play it wrong, you will suffer. Right? But there's a rule of the game. But when we call out to the Father, Daddy, Daddy, where are you? Krishna, Krishna, where are you? Then he'll come and say, come, let's go home. Thank you.